Is Hereditary the scariest movie of 2018? Let's have a look.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Hey guys, Dustin here, and this is Horroritis. So if you remember, back in June-ish, the people who made Hereditary said that it was possibly the scariest movie of 2018, this generation's exorcist, or whatever. Now, scary is a very subjective term, so they tried to back this up scientifically. And the way they did that was they gave about 20 people Apple Watches, and they measured their heart rates through the Apple Watches while they watched the movie. And if you have a look at this graphic here, you can see that at certain points in the movie, their heart rates jumped up to various degrees. Now, since scary is a very subjective term, and they tried to put, some science on this to back up their claim that this movie could be the scariest movie of 2018, I figured we would take a closer look at each individual point in the movie where these heart rates spiked. Now, before I get into that, let me give you a little rundown of the movie, and beware that once we start jumping into this, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Hereditary, I guess turn off the video and go watch Hereditary, then come back, or just watch the spoilers. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Just a warning. So real quick, Hereditary is the story of a family where the grandmother dies, and you find out that the mother and the grandmother had a very strained relationship, and the kids are kind of weird, and the wife is kind of, everybody's kind of weird in this movie, tell you the truth. But anyway, the grandmother dies, the wife kind of can't handle it, she doesn't know how to mourn. The oldest son feels like he's neglected by the mom. The daughter is kind of weird and creepy, doesn't quite fit in anywhere, and just, doesn't follow regular social cues and norms. So, it's basically, the movie is them kind of grieving at the beginning until the daughter dies and the mother becomes super grief-stricken, doesn't know how to deal with herself, comes across a woman who claims that she can help the mother talk to the dead. So before I get any deeper into this, let's have a look at these points. Now, if you look at the graphic again, you can see that the base level is less than 100 beats per minute. So that's kind of an average heart rate. And if you look at this first spike here on the chart, it's about 30 minutes into the movie, and the heart rate jumps up to about 130 beats per minute. Now, what happens in the movie at this point in time is Charlie, the daughter, actually dies. And it's kind of an unexpected and gruesome way to go. I'm not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. I mean, I'll try to keep some stuff, as a surprise for you when you finally do watch it if you haven't seen it. So yeah, but Charlie dies right around the half-hour mark, and it's very unexpected and very kind of gruesome. It's not a scary point, but it's shocking. And understandably, that will raise your heart rate if you're watching this scene. Once again, not scary, just shocking. Now, the second spike on this graphic is at about an hour in, and the heart rates jump up to about 140 beats per minute. So what's happening here in the movie is it's a while after Charlie dies, and it's actually the brother's fault that she dies. And the mother is, she's been trying to cope this whole time and trying to do things, and she's not really dealing with it well. And at the same time, the son is feeling all this guilt because he knows he's responsible for his sister's death, and his mother won't talk to him, and they finally just hash it out and have a big yelling match back and forth at the dinner table. And this yelling match, where they just freak out at each other, is where the heart rates jump up again. So once again, this isn't a scary part of the movie. There's nothing scary about it. It's just tense and uncomfortable, and that will raise your heart rate. I mean, obviously, it's a very stressful situation. It's tense. Everybody's yelling, and there's blame flying back and forth, and it's just kind of a very, very weird, uncomfortable situation. But again, not scary at all. Now, the third point on the chart is about an hour and 15 minutes in, roughly, and heart rates jump up to about 157 beats per minute. So what's happening here is, shortly after this dinner table outburst, the mother learns that there's a seance you can do to contact the dead, and this is the point where she actually performs it in her house. She wakes up her husband and her son and brings them downstairs to do this seance, and Charlie actually takes over her mother, and her mother starts talking with Charlie's voice, and Charlie's scared and doesn't know what's going on, and everybody's yelling, and the son can't handle it, and he's freaking out, and it's again kind of a tense situation, not exactly scary, but again tense and uncomfortable. So the fourth point on the chart where the heart rates really jump up is right around an hour and 45 minutes in, which is really close to the end, and they jump up to roughly about 164 beats per minute. And this is basically the climax of the movie. Here is a scene where, everything's kind of coming together, and honestly, the movie moves slower than I would have liked. So by the time we actually got to this point in the movie, I'm not going to say I was done with this movie, but I just didn't care a whole lot. But I guess these 20 people who wore these watches, they still did care at this point, because everything comes together. For some reason, there's random naked people in the house. There's rotting corpse. The mother is climbing across the ceiling all Spider-Man-like until she's floating in the air and sawing her own head off with, I don't know, it looks to be piano wire. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening all at once. And this is where I think the real scares would be for, regular people or people who aren't as desensitized to this stuff as I am and probably most of you are. This is where the scares would be, but like I said, it took us an hour 45 just to get this far in for really scary stuff to start happening, and by this point I just didn't care. Now, this isn't to say that the movie is bad, because it actually really is a good movie. I just had to watch it twice to really get that. I mean, it moves too slowly for me. Like the first half of the movie, it's almost nothing happens. Charlie dies, that's a thing that happens. And then after that, it's just kind of watching people slowly fall apart. And that's not my idea of a good time. I don't want to watch a movie where somebody's just crumbling under their own stress. That stuff happens in real life. That's not entertaining. That's just sad. So I couldn't really get into the movie on the first watch. But once I got to the end, I watched the end, realized what this movie really was about. Then I went back and watched it a second time, and I enjoyed the movie a little bit more. So if you've watched this movie once and it didn't really sit with you, go back and watch it a second time, taking with you what you learned the first time, and it is a slightly more enjoyable movie the second time around. But overall, it was a pretty decent movie, although I do not believe it was the scariest movie of 2018, definitely not the scariest movie of all time, and most definitely not this generation's Exorcist. So that's it for Hereditary. Let me know down in the comments, do you agree or disagree? Did you think this movie was scary? Did your heart rate jump up at these points? Do you think that this movie is our generation's Exorcist? Do you think this is like a genre-changing, trend-setting movie? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down button. All of that stuff helps me out. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button because I've got more videos coming. And all of my social media links are in the description. That's about it. So As always, I'm Dustin. This was Horroritis, and until next time, keep it creepy.